brought your love ran red.
All right, guys, this is Michael Kopp with Different Pews, Same Promise, and I'm coming to you today with another Schleicher, Mr. Matt Schleicher, who is actually the principal here at Epiphany Lutheran. But before I get going even further, I'll let him introduce himself and kind of tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah. Matt Schleicher's the name. I've been blessed to be in education a long time, 25 years, actually.
All right.
Some of that in the Chicago area, some of that in the Detroit, Michigan area, and a lot of that now into my 20th year here in the Houston area. So,
okay,
yeah,
cool.
Just in terms of educational working in schools, I guess.
Yeah, really, lots of it, right?
Yeah.
You are you married?
Married, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Married to Kim. We've been married 22 years.
Okay.
Blessed with 3 boys, Ian, Ryan, and Nathan, ages 16, 13, and 11. And they keep us moving.
Yeah.
In fact, we're going to be checking out some colleges for Ian. He's a junior in high school, and so we're kind of in that college search mode.
Oh, yeah, right? 11th grade?
11th grade,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that's a big year for figuring out what you're going to do in the future.
For sure, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. So, have you been Lutheran all your life? Did you grow up in the Lutheran church?
Yeah, that's a great question. Absolutely, yes to all of that.
Okay.
My dad is now a retired Lutheran Church Missouri Synod pastor.
Okay.
He served several congregations, especially in the upper Midwest.
Right.
Even though Kim and I have now lived in Houston within our married realm for 20 years, as I said, but before that, I was a Midwestern guy. And so lifelong Lutheran, grew up going to Sunday school from as early as I could remember, vacation Bible school, going to church each Sunday because you're the pastor's kids, right? You don't.
You go. That's what you do, right?
So, yeah, so
you go to
church. Lifelong Lutheran, yes.
Okay, cool. So what brought you to Epiphany?
Yeah. So I've known of Epiphany for a long time, all 20 years that we've been here. Previous to Epiphany, I served at Concordia Lutheran High School in Tomball.
Okay.
And I was assistant principal there for most of those 19 years, actually 17 of the 19. Before that, I was a biology teacher and boys soccer coach at Concordia, and then finished up my master's degree in administration, and the Lord saw fit to put me right into an administrative position at Concordia. So I've known of Epiphany because for all those 19 years, 8th grade graduates from Epiphany, some of them would go on to Concordia for their high school journey. So I would get to know those students and their families and even some things about Epiphany through their lens and their experience. Yeah. Plus, when Mr. Miesner and even when Mr. Fraker were the principals at Epiphany, they would invite me to come and lead chapels occasionally. And so I would come out a couple times. It might have been 5 times in those years to lead a chapel, and many times I'd also get a chance to sit and talk with the 7th and 8th graders right after the chapel. Yeah. And again, I was on staff at Concordia, so it was more of I don't know if it was recruitment. It was more of let's just talk about what are you thinking about for your high school step. Yeah. Right? So I did that. So I've had a lot more connection, I guess, to Epiphany than maybe at first glance, just because of the proximity here in the Houston area. And then kind of out of the blue, actually, I wasn't searching, and then Epiphany leadership, they were moving into the call process to identify the next principal. Mr. Fraker had accepted a call elsewhere in Texas, and he was going to be moving on with his family, and they contacted me and said, would you be willing to pray about the possibility of your name staying in our process? So Kim and I prayed about that and felt the Lord leading to say, you know what, definitely keep your name in that process. And then fast forward, right, and here we are in the first part of March of that first year of being principal, and it's been a real blessing. Yeah,
so it's been a bit of a change from high school to middle school. Yeah, been a shift in kind of what you're used to, probably. Obviously, it's change, but
yeah, thankfully with 3 boys, some in the Nathan, our 5th grader, still elementary-ish, Ryan, our 8th grader, middle school, and now Ian, our oldest, in high school. So, I've been seeing it through the parenting lens, the dad lens, for a bit. Right. But I also, thankfully, have been linked to Lutheran School accreditation for quite a while, since 2010. So since that time, I've been able to work with a lot of Lutheran elementary schools and even Lutheran preschools. Some of those were standalone preschools. And so I've been able to see Lutheran schools at play, not being on staff, but getting to know and dive into their curriculum and dive into staffing structure and budgets, and just in the spirit of helping those Lutheran schools get better.
Yeah. So accreditation, that's got to be a big task in itself.
It is, and there's different roles, so I've been blessed to be on a lot of teams since 2010.
Right.
Some of those teams I've been blessed to be the captain, kind of the leader of those teams. I've also been a consultant within the accreditation realm. I don't consult, on the side. I don't have an extra business card to give people in the educational realm. I'm not kind of a standalone educational consultant. Just within accreditation, one of the roles is called consultant. And then you walk with a school as they do their self-study for quite a few months, actually.
Yeah.
And they can bounce ideas off the consultant. The consultant also is the gatekeeper. They have to sign off on the self-evaluation report and all the evidences before an actual visit team could come into their school.
Right.
So I've played all the different roles. And I get to represent Texas actually in Lutheran School accreditation, NLSA, National Lutheran School Accreditation. I get to go and at least once a year go to St. Louis, Missouri, and represent all Lutheran schools in the state of Texas, along with another man who he and I have been partnered with that for a while. But then we also have some Zoom calls throughout the year. So all told, I think I'm meeting with those people maybe 5 times a year.
Okay. That's a kind of a big undertaking for a lot of schools to get through that self-study process. And I'm sure just in the experience that my wife and I have had at Pilgrim, trying to get them through accreditation our couple years there, she really dove into that a lot. So I got to understand a little bit more about what accreditation takes, and that self-study can be pretty, lengthening.
It's lengthy.
Yeah.
Many times it takes a full 12 months to do it well, because you have to gather all these evidences as well. Some schools actually do more like a 14-month process, a little bit longer than a year.
Yeah, which probably would make sense to get through at least one full school year to see kind of processes and get through the, checkpoints and then kind of evaluate things. But make a lot of sense. Yep. When did you feel first called into Lutheran education?
What was interesting, my mom was an educator. She was a stay-at-home mom for a lot of my growing up, but before that she was an educator. Right. And she was a substitute teacher after I went off to college, and my younger siblings were getting to the age where, she could go during the day and be a sub. Yeah. So it was modeled for me within my home of what education looked like day in and day out. But then also, when I was coming through high school, I was thinking I wanted to go into biology of some sort,
right.
Something with science, and it was either going to be into medicine or into teaching science. And the Lord led me. I had a really phenomenal junior physics teacher where I was going to school, and he just made physics come alive. And he did a lot of experiments, a lot of hands-on stuff. And I thought, boy, you know what? I think I feel the Lord nudging me in the direction of education.
Yeah.
For biology, not physics, but I was, I loved life science rather than going medicine. So it was, again, my mom modeled education. And of course, my dad is a retired pastor. He would teach Bible classes.
Oh, yeah.
And he would teach a lot within his pastoral ministry too. So I could see what that looked like and felt like. So it was modeled for me. But then I think Mr. Kiefer, that physics teacher back in high school, really kind of maybe put a thumb on the scale and helped me go in the realm of teaching of science.
I know teachers have such an influential piece to kids and so many years. I mean, your years as not just an educator, but as an administrator, you see that the teachers and the effect they, have on a kid coming up and coming around. And I mean, that's, a lot of it. I can still remember my all-time, closest and most favorite teacher. She was an 8th grade history teacher, and I was by no means a history guy at all, but she just was, just so influential in how I acted all the time, and just, and I mean, I went to public schools, and so, all through up until I went to college, I was in public schools in Colorado. So the teachers just, when they get you, they kind of, they really just pour into you.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
And God uses them that way.
He uses them, and they they do a good job of identifying who has what it might take to be a teacher. Right. I love those teachers who kind of pull you aside. Mr. Kiefer, that same man, actually pulled me aside and
he knew.
said, Matt, this may be premature, but I see that you could you have some gifts for maybe helping other people understand.
Right.
And not that I had everything figured out about physics. I didn't, but I was able to help a couple students, and he noticed that and said, you know what, it seems pretty natural. So that doesn't mean I'm the best teacher in the world. It just meant that was where the Lord used some of those conversations to say, you know what, I'm gonna have you go into education.
No, and it's I mean, you know, as we've both been in education for a long time, we know that, you know, best teachers in the world are also the ones that are more than willing to learn as much as they're teaching.
For sure. Absolutely.
That's because the whole process, right? And then, you know, the whole Lutheran vocation, what does that mean?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So just learning as we go is a big thing too. So
absolutely.
You kind of mentioned it. One of my, you know, questions on that piece was there a teacher, pastor, or mentor who influenced the path?
Yeah.
Like you already kind of knew that one was coming.
Right.
So
Mr. Kiefer, that physics teacher. I also had Miss Smith. I mean, it's a very common last name, but this was a very special lady, also in high school. English. I didn't go into English.
Right.
English was never really my love. I was a math science guy.
Right.
But she just also helped Shakespeare come alive.
Right.
You know, and again, you're like, how do you do that? Well, thank you, Mrs. Smith. She did a really nice job of took something that I didn't really appreciate a whole lot when at first glance and made it be like, this is going to be okay. And I thought there's going to be students who, if I go into teaching biology, who are not going to like biology.
Right.
So I'm going to have to be that same sort of teacher to say, well, how can I maybe at least pique their interest and give them a chance?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's I guess as an educator, as somebody who wants to be in education, you realize the need to, or the even more so, I guess, the desire to reach children where they're at and be able to cultivate who they are and just kind of uplift them in that way.
Sure.
And it's, you know, I mean, it's difficult. Everyone's different. Every kid's different, but the good, you know, the good educators and administrators completely and fully understand what it means to educate the whole.
Right. Right. And you have to listen, right? You have to listen to people to find out, well, where are they? Do they like this subject matter? Do they hate this subject matter? Are they somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah, and it's so easy to kind of overlook a lot of times because the listening part's not easy.
Right.
You know, the whole process of it, you get so busy, and every teacher knows, you know, between grading, between planning, between meetings and teachings and doing all, you know, all the stuff we do, you know, day in and day out, right. It's not easy to stop and listen to every single child. Sure. You know, and when you got, I mean, we just in our 6th through 8th grade, we have 35 different students we see each and every day.
Right.
You know, it's not easy to listen to 35 different kids in a you know, single day.
Right. Hence the reason that a team is so important.
Oh yeah.
Right. You know, we may not be able to each day listen to each of those 35 in the middle school, let's say, but across the team, we want each student to be known and heard and appreciated. Yeah,
and it's so important to have that team and have different personalities, different perspectives. You know, and I can think of a couple years into my teaching at Our Savior, I was teaching 4th grade, and a close friend of mine, Grant Klug, was teaching 5th grade. So we were teaching back-to-back years, and you know, a student, it's actually my godson now, and his dad is part of the start of this podcast, Derek. His son, Ethan, was, you know, knew me on the basketball side of stuff because I coached him in basketball, and, you know, he didn't necessarily connect with me in the classroom. Mm-hmm. We connected, you know, family-wise and everything, but the next teacher had, you know, very different personalities, very different upbringings, different ways of teaching, different things, and Ethan just resonated with him, you know, or his personality so well.
Yes.
It was just a completely different learning experience. So the different personalities bring things out.
That's for sure.
In students all the time.
Team ministry.
Yep, exactly. And that's exactly what it is too. Was there a moment where you realized that, like, this is exactly what God wants me to do? Like, this is, like, you just knew.
Yeah. With education, you mean?
In general, like, well, I'm thinking, you know, when Lutheran education, you know, the decision to go into that Lutheran education, like, was there a moment you can remember that just kind of like you knew God was telling you, I should go do this?
Right. I was probably when I was doing kind of what we're doing with our oldest son, Ian, that college search.
Yeah.
And I was looking at a couple different styles of universities, some of the Concordia universities. I knew my parents were definitely lobbying and for me to at least give it a full first year at a Concordia University. They weren't specifying which one, that was kind of up to me. But that was really what they were hoping for. But I was open to some other types of schools as well. And I think it was when for my undergrad, I went to Concordia Mequon, Wisconsin. And my master's is from Concordia Seward. But for that Mequon, all of a sudden they were offering more money to people going to Lutheran education than any of the other Concordia universities at that time. I was able to play soccer at the NCAA Division III level at Concordia Mequon.
Right.
And then it also, proximity, it was only about 5 hours from my home. Some of the other Concordia universities were a lot farther away. And so all of that seemed to point to, well, you know what? Concordia Mequon is going to be where I'm going to start. I still, in my mind, was thinking, well, maybe I'll transfer. I don't know. I was still trying to think about what the options were. Didn't have it all figured out as an 18-year-old, of course. We don't ever do that.
No.
But Concordia Mequon, and then it really just stuck because I developed some nice friendships on the soccer team. In some of my even kind of foundations of education classes and things, I met some of the people that I ended up taking a whole lot of classes with, as you might imagine, over 4 years' time. They were really quality people. They loved Jesus a ton, but they also came from similar upbringings, backgrounds. Yeah. So we just were able to resonate and talk about real things, right? It's almost like I don't know you all that well, but I feel like I've known you for a long time, right?
More cultivate a family and not just students you hung out with or, played sports with or did whatever. I mean, you really cultivate a family.
Sure. Yeah. So maybe it wasn't a singular event, but it was that probably senior year of high school, especially, where all of a sudden the Lord seemed to get all those doors to open simultaneously for Concordia Mequon to be the spot. And then from there, the Lutheran teaching bug bit, effectively, and I was locked in. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's interesting because I came very differently. And so I didn't even start college until I was 20. I was out of high school for 2 years. Sure. And so I had no idea what I wanted to do. And it wasn't until I, started dating my first wife that I even realized education was, just it had always kind of spoke to me a little bit. Right. I even had a couple teachers, my 8th grade history teacher, as we went on, we kept in touch, and she used to come and see me play basketball in high school, and we kept in touch pretty well. And she's like, you ever thought about teaching? And I was like, no, didn't ever think about it. And then, just kind of at some point it kind of stuck. But then the whole Concordia thing, I kind of, same path you did. I was like, okay, well, at least start here. Sure. And even after my freshman year, I actually went and started touring another school in Denver, Colorado, Colorado Christian University. Right. I was actually talking to their basketball coach and was thinking about transferring and actually playing there instead of playing at Concordia in Seward, which, I didn't play my freshman year because it was, kind of a couple years removed from high school. And, sure. I didn't take all the tests and all the things I needed to do in high school just because I didn't know all the things that came with that recruiting process and playing process in college. But, but I can say that in that first year at Concordia, I got to know such great people that they were they kind of hooked me in, even though I was visiting in Denver and my girlfriend at the time was still living in Colorado. There was so much that just kind of was gravitating me back to Concordia Seward.
Yep. So you and I come at it from very different approaches when we were younger, but then we get to a Concordia University campus, 2 different campuses, but we had very similar where you're like, okay, the relationships, the people, the professors, the Christ-centered Christ Foundation all comes together, and you're like, okay, this is where I need to be.
Yeah, it was so much, and I think about that all the time. The professors you had, the people that just kind of drew you in, and even more so. Fast forward, I actually did the same thing to Melody, my daughter, when she was getting ready to look at colleges. I said, hey, I have no problem with you going wherever you choose to go. Support you, however, because we really started looking more so in her. We kind of looked a little bit in her junior year, but not as much. Her senior year, we were just kind of amping up like all the visitations, all the stuff. But at the same time, her mom had passed away, and so it was me and her going on most of it, just the two of us. And I was like, you look at whatever schools you want, but as long as you look at least 2 Concordias for me. Yes. And so she actually chose 3 Concordias. She did Seward, she did Concordia Chicago, and then California.
Irvine.
There we go. I was like, I was thinking of the town Orange, because we got Orange Lutheran kids doing algebra this year, but Concordia Irvine. So she visited those 3 schools, and ended up, she's visited 3 others as well, some big universities, but she landed on Concordia Seward. So and she wouldn't exchange most of it for the world, because it was just such a great experience for her too.
For sure.
So before we get to a little bit more of the mission, the things that go on in and amongst the Lutheran education world that we got going on, can you tell us a little bit about yourself now? Like, are there things you love to do, things you like to do outside of the education world, the work, all that? Yeah. What?
Several things. First off, I love being outdoors. That was part of what got me into biology teaching in the first place. So I love fishing. We love hiking as a family, going to throw a football with my boys, or going to shoot baskets in the driveway. I mean, just anything like that, just to be out and about and be pretty active. But we also love board games. We love card games. We love going to theater-related things, musicals and plays, and whenever we can take those things in. In fact, Kim and I, before we started having kids, we were living in the Detroit, Michigan area, serving at Lutheran schools in the northern suburbs there, and we actually were ushers at the Masonic Temple Theater in downtown Detroit. And so as ushers go, you come and you usher for certain shows, and then as long as you don't get in front of paid customers, you can stay for the show and watch the show.
Okay.
And so we fell in love with theater, and there were some big shows, Hairspray, Wicked, Cats. I mean, there were some big shows that came in. Yeah. It wasn't quite Broadway caliber, but it's one of those like Broadway across America sorts of things. Very close, very well done. But at the same time, so we kind of fell in love with theater. So
that's neat.
Those are some of the things that we enjoy doing.
Yeah. So outdoors, you're a big fisherman.
With my boys. Yeah. I didn't grow up as a big fisherman. So I didn't really instill that in my boys until they really started doing a little bit. We started really small, like super small poles with the line wouldn't hold very much. If you got hooked in a big fish, you'd have a problem because that thing was probably going to snap. But then it just kind of grown from there. And so especially our 2 youngest, Ryan and Nathan, have really taken to that. And for birthdays and Christmases, they've asked for additional equipment and better equipment. And so we have some things now, and we enjoy going to various ponds, and we're not going to the Gulf, and we're not trying to get sharks and things. And it's mostly just freshwater, small bodies of water, just getting out there and enjoying nature.
Oh yeah, for sure. I grew up like that. My dad was a big fisherman. He actually lived in Colorado because of how much he loved the outdoors. And we lived in the foothills all my life. In fact, my sister still lives in the house I was born in.
Okay.
Or I was born and then they moved into that house. And so she still lives there, but my dad and I grew up going into the mountains and fishing the rivers of Colorado all the time. And so, it was much smaller fish. We fished very different. We weren't fly fishermen.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, it was very different. Fishing. No. Not fly fishermen, but we used to take ultralight reels, collapsible ones, and 2-pound test line.
Right.
And we would go and we would we'd take 1 bag of hooks and a big container of worms and put them in our cargo shorts, and we'd literally walk the rivers, we'd find the pools. And
that's great.
Yeah, we used to fish and actually eat the fish we caught all the time and camp out there
over the open flame, the whole thing, right? It wasn't that you had a camp stove with you. You're over the open flame.
Open flame. We actually had a couple of grates that you collapse on the fish, and you cook them right there, right over the campfire and everything. Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting hungry.
I know, right? Used to do that all the time. But my dad's such a big fisherman. We've done a lot of real big, kind of more deep sea fishing trips too, because he's always wanted to do that stuff.
We have yet to do that. We've never been out on one of those more exotic sorts of fishing, guided sorts of things. We've never done that.
So. You can find some really good ones. And if we get a chance, we have to go out to Louisiana, because I've not done it out of Louisiana, but Derek, the guy I was telling you about earlier, his son Ethan, which Ethan from Concordia years, talk about how big fishing is off the coast there in Louisiana, and he said it's real. Yeah, he said it's real good. But
good.
The trips aren't too bad either. You go out for like normally like a half day or a whole day, and you can just ride on the boat the whole time.
Right.
And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Very good.
Yeah, it's real neat. But my dad and I have done it in California and in Florida. Because my dad's, every time we can, we've done it.
That's great.
So, we try and get out there, especially with at the time, my grandparents were still living in Florida, so we'd go out to Florida just about every couple of years.
And you get to see family in addition to some really great fishing.
Yep, and we do that off the coast, and it's pretty cool. My dad and I caught a couple of sharks a few times. Nothing like no giant sharks or anything, right. But we've hooked into some some pretty big fish and couldn't even bring them up because they were so big.
Right.
And then, hooked into some other, cool things at the time and different things. It's a lot of fun.
Very good.
So outdoors man, sports man, you a big fan of the Houston Texans?
I do enjoy the Texans. I've been blessed to go to a couple games, but not a ton. It's not that we have any sort of edge on the market on tickets or anything, but there have been some people that we've been able to go with over the years, and so I do enjoy following the Texans. You may have asked the same question of my brother. I don't know, but
kind of. We talked sports a little bit.
Yeah, he had a different answer. He kind of bleeds some sort of like blue and silver.
No, we talked a little
Detroit
bit.
Lions. So. Yeah, but no, I'd say more of a Texans fan than anything. I mean, I pay attention when. Speaking of those two teams, right? David Montgomery, there we go.
Yeah,
recently got traded to the Texans from the Lions.
They just signed him,
We'll just have to see what happens. So, I pay attention enough to some of those transactions, and then, of course, keep up with them during the season. So
now, like have a team you follow any specific sport? Are you big soccer guy still? You watch World Cup stuff?
I don't watch a whole lot of World Cup. I mean, I love the game of soccer, but I never, even growing up, I didn't watch a whole lot of it. I just played it, right? Which is kind of, maybe not, it's a little bit different than how some people do it. I grew up watching ice hockey. And so when, I mentioned my dad was a pastor in several upper Midwestern communities, and one of those was Big Rapids, Michigan. And so that's the home of Ferris State University. It's a state university, obviously, in Michigan, Lower Peninsula, and they played Division I NCAA men's ice hockey, whereas the rest of the sports at that time, they played either Division II or III. I don't know that you can do that anymore. Maybe universities can if you pay the right amount of money. You can kind of play up or play down.
Yeah.
So at that time, again, ice hockey was huge. And so Ferris State, they would play, I'll call them the big boys would come into town.
Yeah.
So University of Michigan, Michigan State, Bowling Green, Miami of Ohio, Lake Superior State, Western Michigan, Central. These are big programs.
Big time ice hockey schools,
And there were always people coming out of Ferris State who would also become pros and go into the NHL. So I didn't ever play hockey. I know how to ice skate. I can't skate backwards very well, so that would limit me from being an ice hockey guy myself. But I love the game of hockey. I love watching that. I can understand icing and something that's people are like, what is that?
What does that mean?
What do these line colors mean? And that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, your brother and I talked a little bit about that too, because he's a huge Detroit Red Wings fan.
Right.
Where I am a diehard Colorado Avalanche fan.
Boy. Did you have to kind of set up a petition to make sure
we were joking about that though. We even talked about the fights we can remember, because the Red Wings and the Avalanche, they did not like each other at all. They have had some history. Yeah. And my best friend in Colorado, we grew up together. He and I talk about that all the time, because he's still a big Colorado Avalanche fan.
Sure.
I can't talk with him about football or basketball, because he's like a Cowboys and a Lakers fan. And,
sure.
I'm a Broncos and a Nuggets fan.
I'm noticing your Decades Day shirt here. Actually has some of the similar colors to the Avalanche. I mean, it's not completely. I know it's more of the Saved by the Bell sort of look, but at the same time, right way when I see it, I'm like, if you put those colors together, you're going to get some of the Avalanche logo, at least from years past.
They have, and they got some bouncing around with those Colorado colors, and it's pretty neat. But we're doing Decade Day, and I chose 80s. I love Saved by the Bell, and one of our theme, like our theme this year for the school, is based around those colors and that.
Right. And make a joyful noise, right? Out of Psalm 98. Yeah. It just can't go wrong. So.
No, pretty neat there. But so shifting back into that school talk, is there a a mission that you kind of see for Epiphany School, kind of based, like, I mean, it's still kind of new. The leadership, role still there, but, you're a little bit more rooted than you were back in August.
Right,
and,
for sure.
It's, do you have an idea? You got a mission on it?
Yeah, I'm trying. It's funny. I've got a running list of kind of 1 year, 2 year, 3 year goals. There's already a strategic plan in place. And so part of that is seeing through some of those initiatives that were laid forth and set forth. It's one where I've learned you don't throw it all out. You come into new leadership and you don't say, well, okay, that was in the past and let's just get rid of that. In fact, I very much tried to preserve a lot of what Epiphany has been doing and doing so well for a lot of years. But for me, I want to see us have some additional extracurricular offerings. Yeah. Even chess club and even more kids involved in PSIA. That academic competition. And I'd love to see us expand into a few more sports and just there's things that will happen, but it's going to take a little bit of time for us to know what are the right times for that. But we have such talented students. And I mean, we've got people who are involved in Taekwondo and Jiu-Jitsu, and we've got people who are over here doing things within like ag, like FFA, 4-H ag world. And it's just kind of fun to get to know, coming back to what we said earlier, you got to listen to people. And so I've been listening to a lot of students and their families and teachers and kind of trying to get a pulse on what could we move into. And so some of those that I've already mentioned are on that short list of at least in the next year or two. So
there's so much room to add things, like you're saying, chess club. I mean, that's some of those things. So the friend I talked about earlier, Grant Klug, he was huge into that. He's a big chess guy.
Yeah. So just give it some additional opportunities.
Yeah.
So in addition to looking for what are some things that we can do to better maximize the school square footage that we have. I don't think we do it poorly, but I think we might be able to maybe get some more dedicated spaces. We don't have a dedicated art room right now, so is there a way that we could get a dedicated art room? What would that look like? How would that go? What would that take? So,
the art's changed. I mean, we've only been here 2 years now, but even from last year to this year, seeing the things that Mrs. Kopp and Mrs. Termina have done it was wild. We got a girl going to the state competition for PSIA.
For on-site drawing.
Yeah, which is she's just
pressure cooker like none other. Here you are, right?
Exactly.
You have to draw this and advances to the state level. So
and that's neat. So, there's just some major growth in that area. And,
So, and I'd like to finally, I guess, probably see if we could push more into some technology things.
Yeah.
We have the green room. The green, one of the classrooms has an entire wall that is green. And we have a lot of equipment. I mean,
we do.
Even this equipment that's used for podcasting.
Right.
We have high-end cameras. We have tripods. We've got things that are needed.
Got it all.
And so it's like, let's push into that in the next year or two as well. Because I know there are a lot of high schools around that offer continuation of that. And wouldn't it be great if our Epiphany graduates had some foundational things underneath them? For all we know, maybe they could skip that first foundational class and maybe get into the year two.
Yeah, get into
just have to see how that goes. So
the deeper process stuff. And I know Mrs. Kopp's doing quite a bit with the coding and some of these kids, and offering so many things. But we got so many opportunities, so many things. We got.
So didn't answer your question super well.
That's perfect.
It's all over right now, and there's more refinement, honestly, each and every month. It kind of gets narrowed down a little bit, narrowed down, but it's going to still take that full first school year. Probably so end of May is going to be much more of a refined list and say, here we go. Let's make sure we're gearing up for some things, in addition to some things that have to be kind of put in play right now, but some that it might be, what about this or this? If it's two things are kind of on equal par, I'm going to give it up until probably middle of May before we make some final decisions on, okay, which direction are we going for next year and even the year after. So,
well, this is with the added pieces of new clubs and new activities, new extracurriculars, you just add a completely different dynamic to reach different people.
Right.
Because each person has something they enjoy,
Right.
And
you're not begging for a compliment, but I'm going to give one. I love that your podcast is geared for, what can we do in addition to podcasting, but what can we do to just show people Jesus, even though we do it imperfectly because we're sinful humans, but another platform. Maybe there's some out there that are watching this particular podcast and saying, interesting, what does that look like when a career path has Jesus clearly underneath it and kind of pushes you in a direction, and you could have gone medicine, but you go into Lutheran education. Oh, that's the Lord was at work there.
Yeah.
Right.
Completely. And in all of it, that's exactly what I'm hoping to do with this. Is it's an added piece you can reach different people with.
Right.
I mean, I've got a few students. In fact, the one student that's going on to do the state competition for on-site drawing, she actually her and her parents have subscribed to the podcast, and
That's
they
great.
watch it all the time.
That's great.
So, she asks me about it all the time. And, I actually got two high school students that are coming on. We're actually going to record on Sunday.
Great.
And, I'm going to reach out to them, and they're two different Christian high schools, two completely different ones. And
Sure.
One's a freshman, one's a senior. We're going to go back and forth on,
Good.
where they're at in their walk and what's going on in high school, what's going on,
that high school into young adults,
Yep.
That's huge.
Yeah,
That's
and
huge.
talk-
So I love that I think podcasts can really reach some additional people.
Yeah, and it's just, a completely different look in a different way, which reaches different people.
Right.
Which is exactly why we call it Different Pews, Same Promise. That's
perfect.
It is. It's exactly what it is. With the school idea in mind, and even the mission and thought of Epiphany, is there anything that kind of has stood out to you as a challenge this year in the leadership? And then, kind of to go back away from the challenge part, but is there anything that just has been overly encouraging?
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Challenge would be, I want to make sure there's good cohesion between the preschool and the day school.
Yeah.
And so I've known Miss Fingelman a long time, actually, when she sent her kids up through Concordia when I was on staff there. So I've known her as a person and a follower of Jesus Christ for a long time. But I'm learning, again, just about the dynamics and what's typical of the Epiphany preschool, what's typical of course, the Epiphany day school, grades K through 8. And just looking for opportunities to continue to bond and unite. And thankfully, I don't sense that there's a lot of friction, but it's just there's different programs kind of seemingly running, almost like in parallel. I'd love to see a lot more interaction, and therefore, it's beautiful that we do have that one time a month that we're having chapel together. I love that as recently as today, we had some of our 6th graders that were reading to some of the preschool kids, and there's definitely overlap, but at the same time, I think we can be even more intentional.
For sure.
Yeah, so that's exciting, but it's also been a challenge to say where are the ways and how can we continue to unify what the Lord has already brought to this campus with the students. So that's maybe a challenge that's out there in a good one. I've been blown away. The other end of your other question, what have I been blown away by or really encouraged by? The families that send their kids here are just totally bought in to saying, hey, we're kind of the whole poker chips, pushing our chips to the middle. We're bought in. We're all in on what the Lord is doing in here at Epiphany in the school, and even though many of them are actually not members of the church, they do pay attention to some of the church activities that are even available, and try to take part in some of those things as well. So that's a beautiful thing. So I've just been encouraged by the dedication that the families at Epiphany have to the school, paying attention to what's going on at the church. I'd love to see a few more of the Epiphany students be also members of the church.
Yeah,
but it
for
also
sure.
sometimes there's geography, there's other things. There might be connected with other faith communities already. But at the same time, we'll see how the Lord leads into those the coming years there. So.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something I've noticed right away too, is that, even though not a lot of the families are members every single Sunday here, but we do have a lot of students who are going through confirmation, even though they may not be, every Sunday type members, but they love it so much that they want to be a part of the confirmation program and be confirmed. But the families in general, I think you're right. That's something we noticed right away too. We've built some great friendships with our own kids' classmates and their families, and just done some amazing holiday parties and some great things that everyone's just so just kind of like you said, bought in.
Right,
Like it's not just bought in. It's like, hey, this is part of the Epiphany family. And though we don't go to church every single Sunday, we pay attention to the things the school and the church are doing.
For sure.
I think the cohesion is cohesion.
Cohesion.
There we go. I was like, that didn't sound right when I said it. The cohesion is, you're right. It's just there, and it's getting even better and better because I think like yourself and we've got some new staff pieces all around that are kind of just like everyone's clicking so well together too that it's making it real easy to just try and figure out how can we make that cohesion even better,
right,
or even stronger,
right? Yeah, it's exciting
stronger
to say, Lord, show us in just the right timing, your timing, what you have in store.
Yeah,
because I think you're right. There's some good foundation, really good foundation that was laid even before some of these new staffing pieces that you were talking about, and now it's just building on some of those foundational blocks before.
Yeah, and I mean, and you can see that a lot of it's there, and everyone's is bought in. They're when they're here, they're here not just for Epiphany. They're here for the Lord. They're here for all the pieces, and the kids that we have are just they're just amazing. We've said that from the beginning. It's just been an amazing opportunity that God's given us, and we are so blessed to be here. So
richly blessed, absolutely.
But yeah, so to kind of bounce off of that too, we are truly blessed to have you here, and I believe that from day one that you have made things you are truly a shining light in the mission of God.
Thank you.
So
thank you. I'm humbled. It's one where it's when the Lord worked mightily to bring me here. It was after Kim and I were praying about it for a while. It was a no doubt. This is where the Lord needs me. So thank you for your words of affirmation. It's been fun, but it's a team effort. We're teammates, you and I, but we're not just the only two. In fact, we were talking earlier about it takes a team, and it takes a really good team, and the Lord has assembled a really strong team at Epiphany Lutheran Church and School and Preschool.
We do, and we have a team that is there for each other at the drop of anything, and we've noticed that from day one too. Is everyone is just so willing to step up and help one another that it's such a great place to work. But with that piece, when we're thinking about vocation, we're thinking about the pieces that come with that, and Lutherans talk about vocation a lot, but Can I ask you, how do you see teaching as a calling in and amongst what we do, or administration as a calling?
For sure. It's interesting with administration. A lot of what I've done in administration actually revolves around people's poor decisions. Okay. So think about that for a second, right?
Yeah.
So when I was at Concordia, I was assistant principal for 17 years.
Right.
And so in large part at Concordia, even though it wasn't the only thing I did, but a lot of that was there's a whole lot of ministry that happens when people make poor choices.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was where I got my administrative, background. In the principal seat now here at Epiphany, it's not just student discipline or faculty discipline or anything like that.
Right.
It's a lot more than that. But thankfully, I had a chance to learn some of those other skills: budgeting, calendaring, professional development opportunities, creating those and implementing those for the staff. I was able to do some of that even when I was on staff at Concordia, but it wasn't the buck didn't stop with me, right? There was a principal who also was overseeing a lot of those things too. But now in the principal role, I'm thinking, boy, there is still a lot of ministry that happens if there are some things that go sideways, and occasionally they do. Not every day, but at the same time, some days there's 3 or 4 things that go sideways, right? So maybe it kind of works out maybe once a week or something, or once a day. There's something that needs to have some extra attention to it in that regard. But at the same time, it's fun to be able to now say, you know what, how can we push the ministry forward in some of those areas that some people maybe would think are mundane, the budgeting process, the application, re-enrollment, enrollment, financial aid application process, even into some uncharted territory for Texas with this TIFA funds, the voucher school, voucher dollars, and choice dollars. So able to kind of guide families. So that's where a lot of ministry is happening in conversation. Because some people would say, well, ministry gets done when you have 16 things on your to-do list and you get them all done that day.
Right.
That's one definition of ministry happening.
Yeah.
For me, I tell my wife when we talk in the mornings, and she's like, well, what do you have going on today? At most, I list 2 things. Even there might be, and I know there's going to be a full jam-packed day. There's no feet up on the desk, twiddling thumbs, eating bonbons all day.
Right.
There's a whole lot of ministry that's going to happen that is the unforeseen, or what are the needs of that person in that moment? If it's a student, if it's a faculty member, if it's somebody from the church staff.
Yeah.
And so with that, I think it's fun to be able to say, Lord, almost like a blank slate each day, what do you need me to do? And then with his strength say, okay, let's try to do that.
And that's exactly right. The way we reach kids each and every single day, the way we reach families each and every single day is, it's not just a calling, it's not just a mission. It's, there's more to it than all of that. And I mean, you and I know that pretty well, that God's got a plan, and we don't always know exactly what that plan is, but if we can position ourselves to be prepared for God's plan,
right,
it just makes that mission and that calling even more effective. Right. And, we're not going to be able to, we're not going to be able to reach everybody. We're not going to be able to reach all. We're not going to be able to, even tackle each and every single problem, or even each and every single issue that comes up. You're talking about hundreds of people each and every day. Yep. Even, here, we're talking about hundreds of people, and each and every one of us is a sinful person. Each and every one of us has our own idea. Each and every one of us has our own plan, and there's times I even have to turn around and apologize to my students because my plan, not that their plan was bad, but I was like, hey, it's not my plan. Mm-hmm. You really got to be working on my plan.
Right.
And it's not always, it doesn't always work that way.
Right.
Everybody has their own thought. Everybody has their own, way.
Coming back to that vocation, just final thought there from me. There was a poster that I saw, and I'm going to probably botch it, but let me explain the rationale, because I don't have it memorized per se, but it was as if God was speaking. And it was really the reminder of God telling the person reading the poster, what you don't know is what I'm asking that person to walk through right now.
Right.
So if we just reflect on that for just a second, it's as if God's saying, I may have asked that person who you're interacting with to be walking through and shouldering a whole lot right now.
Right.
But somebody else might seemingly be having less that they're dealing with.
Yep.
The tough stuff, right? Maybe life seems to be going easier. But it's that first group that we need to be careful with.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what the Lord might be having or allowing that person to walk through at that time. So therefore, this vocational piece is to be patient, to tread lightly, to just take everything to the Lord in prayer. That's with people, that's outside of being with people, that's really saying, Lord, help me to not blow a gasket here, but instead to with care and respect and love, but also with accountability at times, to strike that balance there. How can I do that, but still to do it with the spirit of love?
No, and that's at times it's so difficult to do that. The patience on it is so difficult because, one, you think about it often. Most of us, we know how to love. We know what love means. We know support. We know how to do all that. But the patience part is the difficult piece because everyone's got a busy day. Even the kids with the homework, with the schoolwork, with everything. You look at parents. Parents are even more busy half the time because they're not just worrying about work. They're worrying about when do I get my kid to this practice or that practice, or when do I get my kid to this activity or that activity. And the patience piece is the difficult part. Right. And I've noticed that even with myself. If you're impatient, if you're not patient, you normally are more angry.
Right.
And the anger comes with the impatience.
Right. And then you're having to be like, how do I pick up the pieces on that relationship? And whereas if I would have been with the Lord's strength, more patient on the front side, it's going to be a little bit smoother road, generally speaking, and you're not having to pick up those pieces, that went so awry.
Yes, and I've noticed this even more so in the past couple years, more than normal, which I would say the thing that's changed for me in the past couple years, not just being in a place that I actually enjoy and love coming to each and every day, not just because of the people or the kids or any of that, but the prayer, when I started thinking, okay, especially in the past couple of years, I've got years of experience in education and we'll say years of mistakes in education too, like any normal person, right?
We both do, right?
Yeah. So the impatience that I've had in the past, I do my best to pray as often as I can about that stuff, because even with my 3-year-old doing some crazy things, over a break, we had a couple, it was the freeze that we had, that weekend freeze.
Sure.
We're, having issues making sure we wrap all the pipes outside and everything like that. And we were worrying about the pipes outside, and we should have been worried about our 3-year-old stuff in a diaper in the sink inside.
Right.
And turning the sink on and almost flooding the inside of our house.
Right. It's isn't that a challenge as parents, but also as educators, you have to have eyes in all parts of your head, right? I know you did a nice job with the chapel message yesterday. Of really talking about kind of that seemingly eyes all around you. And we can't do that.
You can't see everything.
So therefore, isn't it great to have God who puts a hedge of protection around us?
That's right.
Surrounds us even with people to kind of help be those extra hands and eyes and feet of God.
Like you said, a team, and God knows, God knows exactly what we need, and God knows the team that's going to be most effective for us. And, and right now, I can honestly say that my wife and I both feel like the team here is the team that is exactly what we both needed.
That's great.
More than anything.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
So the team, God will prepare you for all that. God will prep you. God will be there for you. He'll watch over you. He knows what you need, and and that prayer will take you. So I got one question, kind of towards the end. I'm gonna do a little bit of a lightning round type fun thing. But
there we go.
The last question I would like to ask you before we kind of jump into that lightning round is looking ahead, like, what excites you most about the future for Epiphany Lutheran School?
Right. I think it's that there's some room to expand, room for more students to come and join the family and families, families of those students. So it's the greater Epiphany family. So we've got we have a lot of great families, a lot of great students, but we also have some room in most of our classes that we could grow. We could have a few more students join us in every single grade level. And still be delivering on what we say we want to deliver, that smaller class size, the intimate family feel, definitely the Christ-centeredness with teaching morals and ethics and ideals with the Bible as the foundation. But we can do that with a few more in each of our grade levels. So to be really honest, that's what I'm most excited about, is to see who the Lord is going to bring. We have had a very, very nice spring so far with a lot of interest, a lot of tours, and a lot of shadow students, and it's actually not very much linked to those TIFA dollars.
Oh wow!
I know that's a little bit different.
I would have expected
it's an afterthought.
that.
It's an afterthought. Most people are just hearing what's going on by being in their neighborhoods, in their communities, and saying, we're hearing some good things. We want to check this out. We want to see if maybe Epiphany would be a good fit for our child or children or grandchild or grandchildren. So it's more so word of mouth. We've been advertising a couple different publications as well to try to get the word out that way, but it's mostly word of mouth, and only probably about 10% of those that have actually shown interest this spring are actually leading with, we're here because there's going to be some additional funds that might be available through the state, where we might be able to go to a different type of school than we've never been connected with before. Right? So that's only about 10%. So I was kind of expecting those percentages to be a little bit different. Not knowing, right? Just guessing coming in. But what a blessing that there's just a good, healthy buzz out there in the community. And so that's exciting. That's awesome. To see how the Lord is going to bring the right families to Epiphany. We'll still have our admissions process. It's not going to be that we'll just accept anybody off the street, right? And that sounds kind of limiting, and I'm not trying to limit, but at the same time, we do have an admissions process for a reason, to see what sort of a fit will a family be for us, and what sort of fit will we be for them. It goes both ways. So,
it really does. And that's, as a Christian educator, as a Lutheran school, that's the best we can offer, and the best we can do is that support of families. And we will not be the best fit for everyone, and everyone won't necessarily be the best fit for us, but that's also why we pray and hope that God will show each and every one of us in that process what is the right plan for everybody, where it all is. So That's awesome. I'm really surprised because as a teacher, just seeing it, I'm not in and a part of all the tours and admissions process and all the people that are coming in, and right away with the big change in the TIFA dollars, I would have assumed it would have been more.
Right.
More people were coming because of that than anything else, because we're a private school in a specific area that is accepting those TIFA dollars. I would have expected that, but that's really cool. I mean, that actually encourages. Encourages me even more, because that's like, wow, okay, well, when this TIFA dollar thing starts happening, that might be a completely different look too.
Right.
It's.
So you asked a different question earlier about what's really encouraging, and I said, well, this is not a word, but the bought-inness of the,
I like it though.
Current families,
I love
absolutely, but also the fact that they're telling their friends, they're getting the word
of
out,
mouth is
saying,
out there.
hey, you got to go check this out, and so that's been encouraging.
Yeah, and I can honestly say, just from all the conversations and things I've been a part of outside of here with other families and everything, like you said, the people are not just encouraged, like people are, they're bought in. Yeah. It's really neat to hear the things that like the buzz that's going around about how things, how things are right now. So it's really neat. So a testament to who you are and what you do, and what we do as a Lutheran school is just awesome. But
it's definitely a team, that's for sure.
All right, so are you ready for the lightning round?
I'm ready for the Tampa Bay lightning round. Oh, no, I mean just the lightning round, right? We were talking hockey earlier. Okay.
Man,
No, I know.
Get out. There's the door. Colorado Avalanche.
Okay, here we go. I'm ready.
All right, so favorite Bible verse?
1 John 4:19. It's my confirmation verse. We love because he first loved us.
Nice.
Here we go. Lightning round.
There it is. Yeah. What's your favorite part of the school day?
I actually enjoy car rider at the end of the day.
Okay. Cool.
Because I get a chance to talk to a lot of parents.
Yeah.
And so during the day, I get to talk to students. Love that.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot of what I need to do, especially this first year where I got to talk to parents. And so I am walking up to cars often.
Yeah.
While their kids are getting in, I'm just coming up and saying a quick hello, or, hey, I noticed that I'm going to use a name that's not one of our students, but Johnny today, had a big smile on his face at this point in time, and just giving those little nuggets.
Yeah.
So I enjoy car rider.
That's awesome. That's really cool. It's actually, and I think Mrs. Kopp, so that's one of her favorite things is morning car rider.
Right.
When she, gets to help out with that and accept the kids in, and, sees all the kids and the parents dropping off and everything. So that's really cool.
Yep.
So coffee or tea?
Tea, but it's going to have to be cold. So it can't be hot tea, right? So what's weird is, I'd probably go with like a green tea or a sweet tea. We're in Texas. Unsweet's fine. I'll tolerate it. But give me a good sweet tea, and I'm a happy guy. But it's got to be cold.
Okay, cool. Yeah. See, I've
got a problem with really kind of extremes of temperature, especially if things that are too hot.
I'm not a big hot drink guy either.
So like, give me some soup or hot tea. It's got to cool down a whole bunch.
I was gonna say, me too. And I'm, it's wild. I've never been a coffee guy. Not really. I mean, I will drink the occasional cup with French vanilla creamer, but that's it. I will not do more than that.
Right.
But and Mrs. Kopp's always been a big coffee drinker. But she also loves tea. She loves hot tea. Sure. She loves coffee and hot tea. Go. And I'm just not, I'm like, okay, well, I like water.
Right.
I'll drink the occasional C4.
There you go.
I used to be a big soda guy. I used to drink soda all the time. And then, over the years, I just don't do it anymore. I used to actually be addicted to Diet Coke. Oh. Actually, all the time. There's some days when, in the first years of
teaching. Give me a green tea or a sweet tea, and I'm a happy guy. So,
Well, that's good. Cool. So what about, do you have a favorite Lutheran hymn?
A Mighty Fortress is our God. It's pretty classic. It's almost cliche to answer that way, but
no, I get
if you dive into those lyrics, you're finding so much power. So.
It is really deep, really deep. Yeah. So if you had to describe Epiphany in one word, what would that one word be?
Family.
Family?
Yeah. Family. I mean, it's one where it's one of our core values, but it is part and parcel of what we do. Family.
Yeah, love it. Did you give anything up for Lent?
I'm trying to actually, it's weird. I'm trying to actually not look at email on my smartphone, on my computer from about 4 p.m. on Fridays until after church on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, principal of school, you got to be checking things. Things happen. And of course, if people really need to get a hold of me, those people know how to get a hold of me.
Right.
Right. And so, of course, I'll pay attention to those. But when it's email, I just want to kind of create some healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to check email at, if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, I'm just going to see if there's an email there. Right. That's not super healthy.
No, it's not.
So therefore, I'm trying to be pretty faithful. I've been okay with that so far.
Yeah. No, and I totally understand. I've been trying to do that as well, too. Trying to shut off my phone and my watch and computer and everything for 2 hours a night.
Okay.
And that's what I've been working on. And I've done pretty good at it.
You're doing it every day. I'm just like from Friday 4 p.m. until after church on
well,
Sunday, so.
The one, and I've probably failed a couple times, but I've been trying to just keep that routine going so that I can kind of do that too.
Sure.
Just make a little bit, healthier decisions throughout the evening and everything else. But I also have given up sugar.
There you go.
Not necessarily all sugars, because I'm still eating fruits and natural sugars.
So I won't offer you a sweet tea, is what you're saying.
No,
right?
I wouldn't take it.
All right. We won't do it.
No desserts. I'm not doing that.
Okay.
But that's just awesome. And the lightning round is not extensive, but it gives us a little bit of idea of some different questions of different fun things. But and it's the kind of closing question I would have is, what would you want families listening to know about Lutheran education? Not necessarily just Epiphany, but what would you want families to know?
Right.
And then maybe it's a family that's never even really known what Lutheran even means, or what Lutheran is, or any of that. But
it's both and. So what do I mean by that? Both and.
Yeah.
So, of course, in a school, most people would view Epiphany as a private school.
Yeah.
Got it. We're an unabashedly Christian school, absolutely. But to the outside observer, we're a private school. And so what you're going to expect is you're going to expect smaller class size. You're going to expect those teachers to invest in the students, to get to know them. But also you're going to have high academic expectations and opportunities for extracurriculars. Cool. Right. Good. So that's one thing. We definitely deliver on that here at Epiphany.
Yeah.
But the other part, which allows for both of these things to happen, is that we do it with Christ as our foundation.
Yeah.
So when poor choices are made, be it teachers making poor choices, students making poor choices, the principal making poor choices, thankfully, we can say, you know what, we messed up. And we can ask for forgiveness, not just, oh, it's okay. You know what, we'll overlook it. But you're like, I can actually say to somebody, would you please forgive me? Because this is what I did.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. And that person can speak truth and say, I forgive you. And remind the person, and Jesus forgives you too, right?
Yep.
And we can do that without fear of repercussions in a school setting. And we do that all the time.
All the time.
All the time. And it's not just from the teacher, the adult, to the student. It goes the other direction as well.
Yeah.
I had a student that was gracious with me earlier today. And I'm not going to mention what the situation was because I probably get into tears, but I misread a situation.
Right.
And I wasn't as patient as I should have been. I'm not going to say, hey, it's the latter part of National Lutheran Schools Week and we're pushing towards spring break, which is next week, which is true.
Yes,
but I was a little less patient than I should have been. And I quickly realized I was too quick.
Yeah.
And I was a little forceful with my speech. And so we stepped aside, the student and I. It was a little older student, a middle schooler.
Yeah.
And I apologized to that person. And it was beautiful. It was a guy. And he said, Mr. Schleicher, I forgive you.
Wow.
And Jesus forgives you too. And I'm like, whoa,
yeah.
whoa. Here's somebody who is a lot younger than me, but speaking the truth that I needed to hear.
Well,
it's
just so cool that happens.
Yeah, and that wasn't scripted. That wasn't just because I knew I was going to be on a podcast this afternoon. That was real life happening on a Thursday.
Yep.
And so therefore the both and is, well, you get a high level of academics and you've got the small class sizes, all the things that people would expect in an unabashedly Christian private school.
Right.
But you also get the ability to have those moments like I was blessed with earlier today, where a middle school boy reminds me, you're forgiven.
Yeah.
You're forgiven by a human being, middle school boy, but also by Jesus Christ. Yeah. And so
that's huge.
And that's a part of what happens day in and day out.
Yep.
And so it's a both and.
Both and. I mean, yeah, you're exactly right. This is so awesome. It's so awesome to be a part of this, and I just love it.
Yeah, so do I.
But that's great. But man, I love it, both and. But really appreciate you coming on.
thank you.
Really appreciate your time. You know, it's bad that you'll probably be on again sometime in the future.
This has been very fun.
Oh,
Thank
it
you for
is.
the
It's a
opportunity.
blast.
So,
It's just, and the more I get into it, I'm just like, it is a lot of fun.
Right.
It's a lot of fun. Just
kind of like these headphones.
I know, right?
I hear myself, right?
It's different.
Yeah, this is fun, so.
It's weird to get used to at first, but
at least
you
invite
get
me
there.
back to do that again sometime.
That's right.
In the future,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, you will for sure. But really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate the time that you spent with us and kind of opening up to us more about a lot of different things. But
yeah, awesome.
So yeah,
Lord's blessings.
Absolutely. So if you could lay down a challenge for anyone that is listening to this podcast, what would that challenge be?
I think it would be to pray more.
Yeah.
Prayer. It's prayer, power of prayer. I know when Kim and I were considering going back to one of your other questions, how did you know that the Lord wanted you, Matt, to be at Epiphany, right? As principal, but also our family, we're church members here and so on and so forth. How did you know, right? Well, we didn't know until we started praying.
Yeah.
Right. And there's power in prayer. The Lord speaks through prayer. He speaks through people. He speaks through circumstances. He certainly speaks through his word. But I'm a firm believer in there's the power of prayer. So if there's a challenge for people, pray early and often. And
often. I love it.
And it's not like voting where you try to go and vote early and often, right? You can't do that, right? But but praying, there you go. That's something that you can do early and often and late and everything in between.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll do more for you than you could imagine. Right. So I love that. I love that challenge, but yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So, thank you so much. Thank you guys. This has been a real life story, real life guy, real life in the ministry kind of person that has been here and talking to you about just real life things. And we really appreciate your time and really appreciate each and every one of you and just being a part of Different Pews, Same Promise. And we truly hope that you guys have a great week and just pray. Pray often as you can.
Absolutely.
So
awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Lord's blessings.
Appreciate it.